that here in a minute. We haven't had a real update. If that's the case and everything's great, perfect, then like Chamari Connor, he can play a bit role. Jaden Hicks can play a part. And that is probably more likely to be the third safety on the field in like a physical, if somebody's trying to run at you kind of thing, whereas Chamari would be more the safety that's on the field if it's a pass-happy team. Because, yes, they're both safeties. And, yes, they can both play close to the line of scrimmage. But Jaden is a linebacker / safety, whereas Chamari is a nickel / safety. And so same area of the field, different roles very, very entirely. So I do like that he's emphasizing that now. I didn't see his comments specifically about the free safety part. So I'll go back and listen to that, and I'll give you another opinion next week to see if anything's changed. But I do think that that's insurance against either delaying Brian Cook's return, or if you get down, later in the season, like Brian did, where he played a bigger role as the season went on as a rookie because there were some other injuries, some attrition there. So it feels like they're ready to invest in Jaden Hicks. Terry, who's the biggest standout in rookie camp so far? For me, it would probably be Hicks, but clearly rough start for Xavier, but he made some big plays on day 2 and had another couple today. So I'd say he's in the running, but evidently from everyone that I spoke to, the beat reporters that are there and have seen it, it's Wiley. Just grinding. He talked a couple days ago about how the fact that he is always churning over. This is going to be his 6th offense in 6 years. 5 at Texas and TCU, where they were constantly changing coaches. So that's pretty significant. And for him to be able to walk in, part of that like struggle that he had to go through in order to do all that learning is going to pay off now. Excuse me. I did get some good comments on Miles Battle, who's not listed here correctly. I'm not sure why. But I have him as 6'0", so almost 6'3", and 200 pounds-ish. I heard that he's actually pretty intense and doing pretty well. The Brooks kid from K-State, I heard the same thing, that he's taking some kicks. And then I'm sure we're going to talk about the Englishman. I understand that he's looking more the part than anybody really expected. But for my money, it's going to be Wiley being able to walk in and have a command of the offense that most rookies do not have. There's some similar concepts he ran at TCU, and I think there might have been something at Texas as well. But clearly, he has the edge on learning a new offense. Nihilist, hope you're doing well. Rookie that contributes the most in 2024. Rookie that contributes the most over the next several seasons. 2024. With the impending suspension, I'm going to say it's going to be Xavier Worthy. I see a similar ramp-up path as Rashee Rice had last season, where it's going to be some contributions, big play here or there, and then as the season goes on, it's going to be more steadily fed. He's going to be a bigger part of the offense in December than he is in October, and that's okay. Especially if they don't suspend Rashee Rice until, a court date in the spring or something like that, and Rashee gets to play all season. Now, the bigger thing is there's a little bit of an overlap the way that they're going to start out using Xavier Worthy, I think, with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood's going to be there, and you're going to want to feed him too. So it's a chemistry thing. It's a connection thing. It's trying to get Patrick on the same page with him. We got a little bit of tidbit here today. I can't remember who originally posted it, that Mahomes is interested in connecting with these guys and understanding who's where and when. He's been working with Hollywood a ton, and now he's calling Chris Ludicum to get an idea about some of the other pass catchers that he's not working with yet, and get some feedback there so that he's ready to make those connections. And I do think, as much as the offseason system that they're using, where they go down and have throwing camps with Patrick, I think it still all changes when you put pads on. So I do think there's going to be an adjustment period, and I think they're going to have to take that a little bit more seriously, or maybe not seriously. I'm not trying to say they weren't serious last year. But I think Patrick's going to have to spend a little bit more time with the young receivers this year than he did last, to try to pull that all together and avoid some of the chemistry things last year. Thanks, Nihilist. Gary, good to see you, buddy, as always. Everybody give Gary a hand, one of our mods. Ryan is the TCU tight end. Will he be better this year than he was drafted? Yes, absolutely. I think the fit and finish that he presents inside Andy's offense is going to be like, the rest of the league's going to be like, well, how'd that kid get to be here? You know, like, I think we're going to see him rise above a lot of the other prospects. I like Sinnott. I think, unfortunately, he went to an offense that I'm not sure is going to be able to capitalize on him as much as I'd like to see. Certainly Sanders is a bigger question mark. I think Wiley, much like George, could be a guy that was thought to be 4th, 5th, 6th type guy in a class that comes up and is right at the top of it. George Karlaftis is right there with Hutchinson from Detroit after being what we and most of the draft world considered the 5th-ish, 6th-ish prospect at his position in his draft. I think we could see the same thing. Thanks, Gary. John, nice to see you, bud. Given the fact that we are loaded at safety and that Hicks is trending towards linebacker side, do you think drafting Hicks played a part in letting Gay go or vice versa? I don't think they were necessarily related. I know that the grades on Hicks were in long before the decision was made to let Willie go. Willie got a decent-sized contract, but it really came down to probably, hey, I got an offer from New Orleans. Do you guys want to match it? And then they had to make a decision point. Grades on Hicks were already in then. They liked what they saw on film. We did as well. We had him as a second-round pick. Dane Brugler had him as the best safety in the class. So Spags had already identified him, I'm pretty sure, through the scouting department. But Willie was a different thing, and I don't think it's a one-for-one. I think Hicks is more of a, can he do what Dan Sorensen did? I think Spags misses Dan Sorensen, but he realized that the performance just wasn't there. And I think Hicks can do similar things. And training him to play some free, just like Sorensen did, even though it wasn't his thing, is part of that evolution. So I see it more related to that than it is directly to Willie Gay. I do think that the Jacobs signing is probably related to Gay more directly. It does tell me that Cam Jones and Jack Cochran are the two guys that are going to back up the linebackers this season. That's why they let Christensen go early so that he can land somewhere else. Cody, nice to see you, buddy. Does Gary Dieter help the young receivers as an intern coach? I think that he does, and maybe not from a standard X's and O's kind of way. He does obviously have playing experience on this team, in this offense, at the wide receiver position, which is more than you can say for the wide receivers coach, who has not played wide receiver. So he does need some help there. But here's the bigger thing. When it comes down to, hey, you're running this route, Patrick wants a skinny post at 12 yards, make your cut, and get open so that he can see you. Dieter's going to have an ability to communicate different subtleties to that request so that it lines up with what Patrick wants, because he knows Patrick. Not only do they play together, but they're tight off the field. So there's an extra feedback loop in terms of communicating to the younger players that I think he's going to be really interesting at. They've had a string of intern coaches here for a long time, and a lot of them go on to coaching in the league. Mike Vick was even one of them at one point. So I do think it's an interesting turn, but I do think it presents unique possibilities on how to connect and click with Patrick Mahomes that nobody else could really offer, to tell you the truth.